Get ready, because it is Friday. We're very happy about that. It's Kelly here, looking after things for the lovely Ben Jackson today. And if you are looking for something new to read, then I've got the perfect thing in store for you, because Wayne Kelly is a writer, producer and podcast host, and he's just released his new book, The Callback, a heart-pounding follow-up to Safe Hands, a book he released in 2023. And he joins us live in the studio this afternoon. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on, Kelly. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. I know you're familiar with our lovely listeners because you come on quite a bit with Ben.
Yeah, it's great.
Which is fabulous. So tell us a bit about this new book, Ben, because it sounds very exciting.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, it's the follow-up, as you said, to Safe Hands, which is based on a character called Mickey Blake, who's a kind of veteran safecracker, and he's got a very special skill. It kind of sounds kind of superstitious or something like that, supernatural, but it's not. He can open any kind of mechanical vault with only a heightened sense of touch. It's actually based on a real skill that some people actually have. But he's retired and now he's trying to go straight. So this is the second book, and he's residing in Newtown Linford in Leicestershire, and he's working as a locksmith of all things. But this book kind of centres around what happens to his son, who now gets sucked into a kind of dangerous plot. So it's a gritty British thriller. So
yeah, when you're talking about it, I see a movie. I'm like, oh, this
I hope
would
so.
be.
If anyone's listening, it's available for options. So yeah,
Love
go
that.
for it.
Where did you get the inspiration from for this?
Well, I'm a really big crime fan anyway. I love crime films, I love crime books, so there's always been an aspect of that. But I like things kind of rooted in gritty reality and stuff like that. And we haven't really had anything that I don't think that's been kind of cinematic and like that's kind of based around the area. So the first book was based in Leicestershire and Skegness of all places.
Well,
So, and I like sort of working class local humour, so I wanted to sort of bring that into it as well. So that's kind of my main influences. So I love American fiction. I love reading and watching American fiction, but I wanted to bring the same sensibility to British crime. And rather than doing a police procedural, which a lot of people do, and I still enjoy those kind of books, I wanted to sort of focus on the baddie, if you like, or the criminal that's on the other side. But he's a good criminal.
I was going to say, because the way you're describing Mickey Blake, and I love that name, it sounds like the kind of villain that we'd all quite love as well, the villain with a heart.
Yeah, he just happens to be very, very good at something, and when he was growing up, he's kind of ended up being sucked into crime, but he's just got this rare talent, which gives him this thing. And that the first book is very much focused around, he gets sucked into it because he has to help his wife who's got a critical illness, and he's trying to help her out and raise money for that. And with this one, he really is genuinely trying to go straight. But obviously, with all of these things, you know, your past comes back to haunt you. And in this instance, his son, who's not a criminal at all, who's actually a talent agent and runs his own agency, and he gets sucked into something that's going to eventually require his dad's help. So it's kind of the kicking off point. It's an agent's kind of a dream job becomes a deadly nightmare. So.
Right. You're selling this very well, you know. I'm Googling after this and buying it. I'm a big crime fan. I love the kind of crime fiction books, because they just take you away as well when it's so clever and the twists and the plots, and you're just like, can't wait for the next chapter. And this book sounds just like that. And what places can we recognise in the book?
Well, this particular book, as I say, Mickey lives in Newtown Linford, so there's Bradgate Park makes an appearance in both books actually, and there's a very kind of pivotal scene. I can't give away what happens there because it's kind of pivotal to the plot, but at Lee Circle car park, which, you know, everybody knows about because it's the first automated paid car park in the country and happens to be in Leicester, and it's also a very distinctive building. Ugly, some people would say. It's still just about standing. So yeah, that plays a big part in the plot. Certain gritty something happens there that I can't reveal without giving too much away.
Oh, are you a nightmare when you're writing these things, like at home with everybody? Do you lock yourself away? And, how do you balance it? Because I imagine you could be sitting down eating your boiled egg and toast in the morning and all of a sudden think, I need to go and sit in there and write this out. And it just comes into your head that you've got to get it out on paper. So what are you like to be around during the creative process?
You should probably ask my wife. She probably knows better than else. I do actually sort of mention her at the end in the acknowledgements of this book, particularly for putting up with me, because I am away with the fairies a lot of the time. But obviously I have to base it around, I've got a busy day job and I've got lots of other things going on. So I often have to get up very, very early, normally sort of 5:30, 6 in the morning to do my words for the day. That tends to be when I do my writing. I'm not very good at writing last thing at the night. I tend to find I'm a little bit burnt out. So I have to do these things early in the morning, but everybody's got their own way of doing it and they have to find their own way of doing it. But for me, that's how I do it. If I wait until later on in the day, it's just too difficult. Yeah.
Yes, an early riser.
Yes.
We want to talk to you about how you help other people as well and other authors, because I was saying to you off air, I think everyone's got a book in them, and a lot of people also, I'd love to write one, but you just think you can't. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that with you. So don't go anywhere. We have the incredible author, writer and podcaster Wayne Kelly live in the studio with us. More from him after Kate Bush. You're listening to The Afternoon Show. Kate Bush and Running Up That Hill on The Afternoon Show. Torval and Dean on the way. They're celebrating 50 years since their skating partnership began. I'm really looking forward to that interview. And we've got Showbiz Joe as well before 3. Right now, though, we are joined by the brilliant Wayne Kelly, writer, producer and podcast host. His new book, The Callback, is a heart-pounding follow-up to Safe Hands, which was a book he released in 2023. He's live in the studio with us. It's lovely to have you here. And I mentioned earlier that you also, as well as being a successful writer yourself, help other authors as well. So tell me a bit about that, because it's quite a big thing if you decide to write a book, and it's a scary thing as well, isn't it?
It is. I mean, whether you decide, it's a big thing to say I'm going to write a book, but I think even to just sit down and write something, I think has got massive benefits. Whether you think you're going to get something published or you're going to get it out, I think I'm a big believer in writing as therapy. I think it's brilliant. I've seen it work with people if they're working through something, whether that's non-fiction or fiction. It's a great way of expressing yourself. It can help you with confidence. I'd recommend joining writers groups. There's Leicester Writers, there's Phoenix Writers in the city as well in Leicester, but any kind of critique group and whatever. It's scary when you first do it because you are expressing yourself and you're talking about things you might be thinking about or feeling or whatever, but it's brilliant. You learn so much doing it. And then, yeah, there are people that have been writing for many, many, many years, and they might have, I've met people that've written multiple books and not shown it to anybody, or they daren't read it to anybody, or they'd like to get it published, but they're not sure about going about it, how to go about it. And nowadays, with independent publishing and self-publishing, that's something that they can do, and it's actually much more straightforward than it used to be to do a professional self-published release yourself. And that's one of the things I've helped other people with, local writers, people like Shane Payne, who's been on Ben's show before, as Linda Sprott and people like that, and help, whether it's with cover art or whether it's with book formatting or whatever. But yeah, I'm a big believer in it, and just the feeling of, getting to hold your own book in your hand. For some people, that's all they want, just to be able to hold a copy of the book in the hand, even if
see it in the shop window when you walk by.
Exactly.
I'd be doing cartwheels. I'd be like, oh my God, look, that's me. That's my book. That's my name.
Exactly. But for some people, just physically holding a copy in the hand, even if only 5 other people read it or whatever, that's a massive thing for them.
Yeah, huge.
And it's it's a big achievement, and it's never been sort of more straightforward to be able to do that nowadays.
Tell us a bit about your podcast as well.
Yeah, so I started a podcast back in 2014, which was originally called the Joined Up Writing Podcast, and now it's called The Right Place, spelled WRITE, and that's the rightplacepodcast.com. And I've interviewed authors, literally hundreds of authors, so every other week or so I interview successful, some of them best-selling authors. I've interviewed script writers and things like that about their process, their books, their scripts, how they do it, whether they are fly by the seat of their pantsers, as we call them, or whether they're deep plotters or anything else. And I've made lots of friends doing that as done it, and I've learned a lot myself. And I've helped a lot of writers do that, and off the back of that I've then met other people who I've been able to mentor and talk to and help them with their writing. So it's great. I've loved, ever since I was a kid, I've always loved words and I've loved writing, so to be able to talk to other people that are passionate about it is a really big thing for me.
Yeah, and inspire them as well.
Yeah,
Look what you're doing. It's fabulous. Where can we get our hands on the latest, The Callback?
Well, it's everywhere you can buy books, so you'll be able to find it online and everything else. There's obviously the big shop, the Amazon, you'll be able to find it on there. But if you head to my website, which is waynekellywrites.com, you can find it on there. And if you want to buy a signed copy, you can get a signed copy on there as well, and you get a little extra. If you order a signed copy, you get a special postcard and different bits and pieces in there. And you can also find out about my other writing courses and things on there if that's something that you're interested in. And I'd just encourage people to just drop me a line anyway, wayne@waynekellywrites.com. Tell me what you're up to, tell me what you're writing, what you're working on, or maybe you've got an idea for something and you're wondering about how you can develop it. I'm always interested to hear how people are getting on and what they do. It's just great to talk to other bookish and writerly people. So yeah, great.
It's been lovely having you in. We wish you the best of luck with the callback as well. I'm so looking forward to reading it. Love a good crime novel. Please tell me that when you first held your first book, you got very excited.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. There's nothing like it. Yeah.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in.
No, thanks for having me.
The wonderful Wayne Kelly, writer, producer and podcast host. 27 minutes past 2 Sam.